She's dead.
Ever wondered who the sneakiest manipulator on The Sopranos really is? Spoiler, it's not who you think. Welcome to Sopranos Breakdown. I'm Matthew. Together, we'll dive deep into the world of Tony, Carmela, and the rest of the crew, uncovering hidden details and exploring the deeper meanings behind every episode. Please smash that like button. Let's get started.
Karen had an accident on Pompton Avenue. She's dead.
After the tragic death of Bobby's wife in a car accident, the community around him, particularly the wives of his fellow mob associates, steps in to help. They bring meals, look after his kids, and offer support in his time of grief. Amid this show of compassion, Janice sees an opportunity not to help, but to advance her own agenda. Watching Bobby's house through binoculars, Janice monitors who's coming and going. Her motivation is clear. She wants Bobby for herself and is determined to outdo the other women offering genuine support.
Janice, hi.
Hi. Jojo! Hi.
Wow, what are you doing here?
Janice, look at you. I made Bobby and the kids some of my chicken marsala.
When she sees Jojo Palmais arrive with a tray of homemade chicken marsala, Janice springs into action.
I'm picking up the kids after school, Bobby. No argument.
Yeah, he's hanging in though, aren't you, Bobby?
Janice, leave those. The girl's coming today.
Now, I better do these pots at least. I've seen Rigoberta with those copper toughies, but she's done to this Teflon.
She heads over to Bobby's under the guise of being helpful, doing dishes, offering to pick up his kids from school, and generally making herself appear indispensable. It's not empathy driving her, it's strategy. When Jojo tries to build a rapport with Bobby by suggesting their kids spend time together, Janice quickly derails the moment.
How is Michael Jr. doing on the Ritalin, Joe? The way they medicate kids today.
She casually brings up Jojo's son's mental health, asking if he's still having problems since starting Valium. The effect is immediate. An intimate gesture from Jojo becomes a moment of discomfort and public embarrassment. Later, Janice visits Uncle Jr. before one of his court appearances. She brings a tray of food to show her supposed care and attentiveness.
I'm afraid I have bad news. Bobby's dead.
Ambassador Hotel.
You're Bobby. Bobby Bacalari. I'm a widow now.
But it's the same chicken marsala Jojo made for Bobby, still in the same container. Janice has stolen the meal, repackaged it as her own, and redirected it to another man in need to gain favor. Her manipulations don't end there. As the episode continues, it's revealed that Janice also served Carmela's lasagna to Bobby, again presenting it as her own cooking.
Delicious. With sweet sausage along with the beef. I thought Karen's was good, but sweet sausage in little pieces and a layer of basil leaves right underneath the cheese? That's right. That's Carmela's lasagna.
This dish, with its distinct sweet sausage and basil leaves under the cheese, is a hallmark of Carmela's kitchen, not Janice's. Yet she claims credit without hesitation. Janice's actions are calculated and cold. She inserts herself into Bobby's life not out of love or care, but out of opportunism. She co-opts the nurturing efforts of others and uses grief as a lever for her own gain. While others mourn and give, she takes. Her behavior reflects a deeper pattern. She manipulates children, leverages tragedy for control, and presents a false front of empathy while advancing her own self-interest. In doing so, she reveals herself as one of the show's most quietly dangerous characters, devoid of genuine compassion, but skilled at appearing as though she has it in spades. It's a brilliant, tightly written sequence that encapsulates Janice's character perfectly. Performative, self-serving, and unrelenting in her pursuit of control. Ever wonder why AJ Soprano, the privileged mob boss's kid, could never quite grow up? This is the real reason his trying still wasn't enough.
You know what happened. Block her still. All right, that's it. Enough's enough.
Look, I'm fucking depressed, okay?
You broke up. How long you want to cry about it?
She was my life.
When Blanca left AJ, it was one of those rare moments where it was hard not to feel sorry for him. For once in his life, he was actually making an effort, trying to step into adulthood, trying to be responsible, trying to be something resembling a man. He had a family now, or at least the idea of one, and he was doing his best to hold on to it. And then it all fell apart.
You're 20 years old. You barely have a life. And you're better off anyway. She was cute, okay, but come on. We're another guy's kid to boot.
She was the best thing I ever had.
Her breakup wasn't just rejection. It was confirmation. Confirmation of every fear, every insecurity, every quiet suspicion that he was never going to be good enough. That he didn't have what it takes. That everyone else had always been right about him. It was the moment he stopped pretending and started collapsing.
Hey, everybody, this is Blanca. Blanca, my mom, my dad.
Hi, this is Hector. Say hello, baby.
During that time, AJ actually seemed happy, stable, normal even. Blanca and her son gave him purpose, something outside of himself to care about. And he tried in his own limited, stumbling way. But in the end, it wasn't enough. He wasn't enough. Blanca likely appreciated his kindness and the fact that he treated her and her son with respect. But eventually, the cracks showed. He was immature, emotionally underdeveloped, still clinging to a childhood that had lasted far too long. At some point, she must have felt like she was dating a kid she was also supposed to raise. He wasn't her partner, he was one more burden. Even in small things, AJ couldn't quite get it right. Offering popcorn during serious conversations, complaining about having to wear a suit, giving up his bike to avoid a fight. Whether that was cowardice or a clever understanding of his own limitations is debatable. But either way, it wasn't what Blanca needed.
Hey, I need you to come home. It's AJ.
What happened?
I am worried, Tony. I have never seen him like this. I'm supposed to meet the realtor to see a new property, but I am afraid to leave him alone.
She needed stability, strength, a man who could step up and carry real weight. What she got was someone who cried in public, who buckled under pressure, who still relied on his mother for emotional direction. He was a boy playing house, and eventually the game ended.
10 years older than him, and she's Puerto Rican.
Dominican. Maybe. At least she's Catholic.
In retrospect, their breakup was inevitable. Cultural gaps aside, they were simply mismatched. Blanca was older, already a parent, living in the real world. AJ was a privileged, coddled young man who had never needed to grow up until it was far too late. And yet, in his own way, he was sincere. He meant well. He really did care. And that's what made it so tragic. Not because it was a great love lost, but because it was probably the closest he ever came to trying to be someone better. In the end, it wasn't Blanca's fault. It wasn't really AJ's either. It was the result of years of dysfunction, delusion, and avoidance finally hitting a wall. What hurt most was watching someone fail, not because they didn't try, but because they tried and still couldn't measure up. Barry Haydu didn't just deny killing Dickie Moltisanti, he might actually be the killer Tony tried to hide. Here's the dark secret nobody talks about.
Christopher, this won't be easy for any of us. But I want you to know that we're here today because we care about you.
The prevailing theory is that Tony lied to Christopher about Barry Haydu being responsible for his father's death. In the episode, For All Debts Public and Private, Tony frames it as a necessary act. It doesn't matter. He wants you dead. This moment marks a pivotal step in Christopher's psychological unraveling and deepens his dependency on Tony. But there's still reason to think Barry may have actually been involved.
What was he doing in Yonkers last night?
I don't know.
Somebody saw him having drinks at the Renaissance Inn with an individual named Chip Soto.
Consider the scene where Haydu, a retired cop, denies knowing Dickie Moltisanti. His reaction mirrors Ralph's evasive denial of killing P. Oh My, something David Chase later confirmed was a lie. The performance is full of hesitation, discomfort, and subtle tells. Then there's the line Haydu mutters, "He's setting you up, whoever he is." Christopher never mentioned anyone giving him the information, let alone Tony. That comment implies Haydu knew Christopher had been sent by someone, likely someone powerful enough to orchestrate this. It's also worth noting the changing nature of Christopher's justifications. At first, it's, he was bringing home a crib for me. Later, it becomes, he was bringing home a TV tray so I could watch TV. The absurdity of that evolution, the tray, the imagined scene of baby Christopher needing a TV tray, highlights both the tragic and comic distortion of memory in the world of the show. And the delivery. Is that him? With the sombrero on? It's surreal and grimly funny. Heidu's behavior also suggests experience with the mob. His nervousness isn't just fear. It's recognition. He knows he's in a world where people die for things done decades ago. When he cries out, "I'm sorry," it could be a confession, or simply a desperate plea. But in context, it leans toward guilt. Still, ambiguity is central to the show's DNA. Think of the Russian in the woods, the identity of Dickie's killer, the final cut to black. The truth often remains out of reach, and the audience is left with fragments, just like the characters. Some argue Tony wouldn't even know the real killer. In The Many Saints of Newark, Dickie's murder appears to have been ordered by Uncle Junior. If that's the case, Junior certainly wouldn't have admitted it to Tony, who idolized Dickie. That opens the door to the possibility that Barry Heidu was just a convenient scapegoat, someone Tony could plausibly claim was responsible. As for the timeline, Tony was born in 1959. Christopher says in Season 5 that he's about 8 years younger. That would make him around 30 in the early seasons, not 30 or 40. The show plays loose with ages, but it's clear Christopher was a child, possibly an infant, when his father was killed. The idea that he'd be told the truth at that age is absurd. Ultimately, it doesn't matter whether Barry Heidu pulled the trigger. The significance lies in what the act meant. Tony gave Christopher someone to kill, a name, a target, a form of closure. In doing so, he bound him closer, with blood. The $20 bill Chris tapes to the fridge afterward is a quiet, bitter symbol, a debt paid but not truly settled.
Guy.
Christopher, I'm fucking warning you.
Here he goes, Mr. Type A personality.
We are here to talk about you killing yourself with drugs, not my fucking personality.
The brilliance of the show lies in that very ambiguity. Was Heidu guilty? Possibly. Was Tony honest? Unlikely. Was justice served? Not in any meaningful way. But the damage, to Christopher, to the illusion of loyalty and family, was done. Tony Soprano wasn't just a mob boss. He was television's least believable sex symbol, and somehow, it worked. Has any woman ever exchanged more than a few words with a Tony Soprano without immediately wanting to sleep with him? It seems like across 6 seasons, the answer is no. Virtually every woman who shares a scene with him expresses interest, or ends up in his bed.
Hello?
Hello, I'm calling for Tony Soprano.
Cajun stuffed olives?
Who can I say is calling?
This is Dr. Melfi.
Even Dr. Melfi, despite repeatedly rejecting his advances, once confessed she was attracted to him. The exceptions are few and debatable. The Polish maid might be one, though her entire dialogue consists of asking if she should wash the robe or struggling to pronounce warrant in English. Even she gets framed in a vaguely domestic intimacy that feels only a few degrees removed from flirtation. Tony, it seems, is irresistible, not conventionally handsome, not especially charismatic in the traditional sense, and by later seasons, breathing like a busted radiator. But he's still magnetic. Why? Power, money, presence. He has that strong, silent type aura. More Gary Cooper in theory, more William Howard Taft in practice, and yet the results speak for themselves.
He's been sleeping with my cousin Svetlana. That's right. Well, she was taking care of his uncle.
The evidence piles up quickly. There's Svetlana, who brushes off any emotional involvement but still sleeps with him.
Don't worry, he's a real doctor. Dermatologist.
The dermatologist, who seemed ready to devour him alive. The elder care nurse in season 1 who blended medical advice with open admiration. Even the hospital administrator who tried to push his discharge read more like a jilted lover than a bureaucrat. The woman managing Green Grove, the insurance agent, the doctor who casually drops, "Boy, are you fat," all deliver their lines with an undertone that seems to invite more. Even characters who claim disinterest often come with an asterisk.
I don't think it was his intention to insult anybody.
Charmaine Bucco clearly regrets her past with Tony, but only because she already tried it and decided it wasn't for her. Annalisa Zucca from Italy comes across as a sharp strategist, but there's still the flirtation underneath the business.
Why does he have to lie? Why couldn't he tell me his therapist is a woman? What is he hiding?
Carmela, of course, is long accustomed to sharing him with the world, even if she resents it. There are a few holdouts: Jeannie Cusimano, Meadow Soprano, Rosalie Aprile, Ginny Sack, and perhaps Adriana Lacerva. Some show calculated politeness or indifference, others a blank professionalism. But these are the outliers. In Tony's world, the gravitational pull of wealth and dominance overrides traditional metrics of attractiveness. He's not a heartthrob, he's a force. Add tailored suits, a gold bracelet, and the certainty of being the most powerful man in the room, and the effect is complete. Women respond, not necessarily to him, but to what he represents: danger, control, protection, indulgence. In The Sopranos, desire is rarely about love or even lust. It's about status, security, and proximity to power. And Tony, for all his flaws, embodies those things absolutely. Tony didn't need proof Pussy was a rat. He knew the moment Pussy told that joke at the cookout. When did Silvio know what Tony planned to do with Pussy on the boat?
So I was ready to go buy a boat.
Likely the moment Tony came downstairs and said, "Who's ready to go buy a boat?" That line wasn't casual. It was code.
It's wearing a wire. Who? Pussy. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Just moments earlier, Tony had found the wire in Pussy's bedroom. That was the confirmation he needed. If Tony had come down and said something like, "You know what, I'm feeling sick," Silvio would have known the hit was off.
If I was to hear, let's say, a murder was to take place, not that I'm saying it would, but if.
They didn't need to spell it out. It was muscle memory. The plan was already in place. Tony would either give the green light or not. Silvio sipping liquor on the drive was telling. He already knew. When they picked up Paulie, he knew too, just by seeing Pussy with them. The presence alone confirmed everything.
It's a gift. Take your clothes off. What? Want me to turn around?
Paulie stood there silently, like a soldier awaiting orders. No questions, no hesitation. The suspicion had been building for a long time. They didn't have hard proof until that moment, but they'd all felt it. The look on Silvio's face in Pussy's kitchen after Tony came back down said everything. The tone changed. The mood dropped. That's all it took. Pussy himself knew something was wrong. Sitting at the table with his coffee, the look on his face said it all. This was it. He could feel the end coming. He was out of moves, and he knew it. Tony had always relied on his instincts, and they were sharpening. In a previous scene, Pussy tells a joke at a cookout, mocking his wife in a way that doesn't fit. He glances around nervously, searching for approval. Tony clocks it. There's something performative, desperate, off. That was another piece of the puzzle.
Freud says dreams are wishes.
Dreams are wishes. I thought you said that dreams,
And the dreams, they didn't help Pussy's case either. Symbolic rats, betrayals, subconscious guilt, all pushing Tony closer to the inevitable. If Tony hadn't found the wire, he would have cancelled everything. Made some excuse, gone alone. That would have been totally in character, erratic, unpredictable, effective. Pussy wouldn't have suspected a thing, but he did find the wire. So Tony came downstairs, delivered the line, and sealed Pussy's fate. No discussion needed. Everyone understood the mission. They knew. Maybe not officially, but deep down, they knew. And when Tony gave the signal, they moved. Paulie wasn't ruined. He was always a bitter, petty bastard. You just didn't notice. What happened to Paulie?
You're weak, you're out of control, and you become an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else.
Oh, listen, Guys, you. guys, whoa. We said non-judgment.
Fuck that. Let him take his medicine.
Seriously, Paul, you want to talk about fucking up?
By season 4, episode 10, he's gone from quirky and entertaining to outright unbearable, constantly complaining, picking fights, undermining others, and acting like the center of the universe. His ego is out of control. The change feels sudden, almost jarring.
So the book says, oh, just one more thing. You gotta have a bigger thing.
In earlier seasons, Paulie still had his flaws, but they were balanced by a certain charm and comedic timing. He was intense, sure, but also weirdly likable. That balance is gone. What's left is a bitter, petty man who seems to resent everyone around him.
It's a fucking broad. Believe that? Really? You mean it's the real deal, I think? No shit, huh? The thing is, we got this platonic thing going.
The signs were always there. A tendency to overreact, a deep insecurity, a performative loyalty that cracked under pressure. But now, his worst traits have taken over. He starts drama over nothing, clings to status symbols, disrespects the younger crew, and lashes out whenever he feels slighted.
Respect, and I'm never gonna fucking forget it, neither. Jesus, Paulie, people your mother's age, their friends die off. What, Shelton, Sil, Carlo? They're all over there with your nephews.
There's also a growing sense of paranoia and resentment. He clearly feels overlooked and underappreciated, especially after being passed up for bigger roles and left out of decisions. His time away from the crew only deepened the grudge. When he returns, he's more combative and less stable, not helped by his obsession with appearances and respect.
I went without, so you could have the mink coat, the massage chair from Shopper's Image, the flat screen TV. $2,000 for a woman I don't even know.
The character hasn't changed so much as intensified. His selfishness, insecurity, and desperation for recognition have been slowly escalating. What once read as eccentric now comes off as toxic. He was always part of a world filled with narcissists and sociopaths, but now Paulie stands out not just for his cruelty or paranoia, but for how loudly and proudly he displays it. You know what's funny? People who watch the whole freaking video and don't like or comment. That's like ordering veal and stiffing the waiter. Don't be that guy.